Test, microphone on. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Politics, Culture, and Some Other Shit. So this one is got the camera working again, so this is going to be a full video up on YouTube and all that. And as always, you can go over to Patreon and lend me your support over there if you so desire for one time or a one price, only £1 a month. Anyway, so today we're going to talk about Israel, and specifically Israel's outsized influence on the United States, and for that is the cause of this. It's the foundation of the support. excuse me. That Israel enjoys from the West in general, United States specifically, and most importantly because it is the big daddy with the big checkbook that is funding everything that we're witnessing and that our Palestinian brothers and sisters are experiencing, madly enough. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about another thing that the US is getting up to, which is they're about to invade Venezuela. This looks very serious. It looks like this is actually going to happen. We're going to get into that for a little bit. And then we're going to talk about it's more of the cultural side of things. As I said, as I restarted the podcast again, I'm going to try and lean into the cultural aspects of life. For that is the name of the podcast, Politics, Culture, and Some Other Shit, as you know. And I started out trying to do culture with a little bit of politics, and I ended up, the politics kind of took over. I think it's probably because the politics is so insane. It has been for quite a number of years, and there's quite a lot of it, and it's so fast moving. So I probably, jettison the cultural stuff. But I'm going to talk about this today, and we're going to try and, with every episode, I'm going to try and bring up something in the culture. And the thing that we're going to talk about today is body positivity and Ozempic. So we've gone from one to the other, like overnight almost. So we're going to talk about it from a little socialist-y perspective, because this is a socialist propaganda outlet, as you know, unapologetic. That's what we're here for. We can get plenty of the other stuff everywhere else. So we're just going to lean into what we want, what we know. So just get my mic levels set here. 1 2 1 2. There we go. So yeah. So I found myself recently listening to a lot of American right-wing, what would be considered traditionally right-wing commentators. Specifically, and I don't mean I'm listening to a lot of them. I don't download their podcasts. I don't subscribe to them or anything. But I've been researching them and I'm hearing them say things that are interesting me from a man of the left. Then these right wingers are saying things. I go, well, I agree with that. That's sort of, and again, it's to do with this Israel thing, right? So what I found is people like Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Dave Smith. So Tucker Carlson is a right-wing Christian. Candace Owens is a right-wing Catholic. Dave Smith is a libertarian and of the right as well. I don't know what his religious preferences are. Not that that matters. And there are quite a few others, and they're all symptomatic of what's being called the MAGA Civil War. So MAGA, we know what that means, the Make America Great Again phrase that was coined by her Trump. And he was elected on a very, very profoundly America first and America only platform. And he clearly hasn't kept to that manifesto, those campaign promises, by this insane support, fealty almost to, well, not almost, actually, to Israel. and it is actually pissing his own voter base off, and it's splitting. They're splitting right down the middle. It's actually more the younger Republicans. So you're talking Republicans under 50. Universally, massively, all are against what Israel is doing in Palestine. They don't want to support Israel, and they're really, really mad about the financial support, because Americans are experiencing, perhaps for one of the first times in their lives, quite serious financial stress, and the cost of living that we're all having to experience and endure. They're experiencing it as well. You can just go onto YouTube and Google it. Like, just search for it on YouTube, and you'll find Americans really going complaining about the price of what they call going out to eat in restaurants, because apparently we all know Americans eat in restaurants quite a lot, and even going to something like a McDonald's is getting to be too expensive, which is mad because it's supposed to be cheap. That's the point of those places. I mean, it's shite, but you shouldn't be eating it anyway. But there we go. So when Americans are experiencing these things, Donald Trump has come in. He's bringing in certain policies. He's started with these tariffs, which has completely fucked the American farmer, even more than they were fucked already. Just the other week, he has brought in policy to cancel or limit or lower what they call SNAP. I think they call it SNAP, which is basically food. Food. You get money to go and buy food. If you work and you make under a certain threshold, the government will cover the extra that you need, which is mad in the most capitalist society on earth. That the American taxpayer is, so people think they're giving poor lazy people who won't work, they're giving them money for nothing. That's how it gets portrayed in the media quite often. But what they're actually doing is these people do actually work. Most of them anyway. When I say most of them, I mean nearly all of them. They all work, or they're disabled. So it's things like that. You got people that can't earn a living, and they're being given dole basically. But there are people out there that are working one or two jobs, and then they're still not getting over the line. So the government steps in and gives them these benefits. Now, what these benefits represent is a subsidy to the corporation that employs them. So say you work 40 hours a week at, for example, Walmart, for example, you will not make enough money to live on. So the government will come in and subsidise that. Now, that's a subsidy to Walmart. It's not to the person receiving the benefit. Walmart should be paying them out of their massive profits. It's not like they can't afford it. And if they can't afford it, it's America. Is it not the free market is king? The marketplace rules all. Well then, in that instance, they should go under, according to American free market capitalism. So Trump has come in, he's cutting these benefits, he's fucked up the farmers with the tariffs, and he's starting. He didn't end the Ukraine war, which he promised he was going to end within 24 hours, in usual Trumpian bellicose fashion. A year later, it's still ongoing, as we know. And the ceasefire that's being negotiated at the minute, the peace treaty, isn't going to go through because there are a couple of things in that the Russians will never agree to, and one of them is a couple of things. Just on a tangent, the Russians are going to insist that Ukraine doesn't join NATO, and that the army is reduced to a certain size and all that sort of stuff, and it's not in the agreement, and the Russians will never agree to that, and they don't need to because they're winning. So that's what happens when you win. You get to dictate the terms. But anyway, so Trump has come in, and as I said, he's done these certain things. Americans' healthcare costs have gone through the roof. So the insurance that you pay in America for healthcare, I think it's pretty much for everybody, is doubled. and it was already very expensive anyway. I listening to a few Americans in their own personal testimonies on YouTube and things like that, and they can't afford it, so they haven't got it now. And then so you've got all that going on and more. Then not even in the background, in the foreground, Israel, and it's being funded by the American taxpayer, who's being screwed to the ground. The middle class is being hollowed out. It's almost done. They're almost done with the middle class. So you're going to end up with two tiers. You're going to end up with a working class, a poverty class, which is going to be most of us, and the wealthy, like a la Brazil. So, when the American taxpayer, the American voter, is seeing this preferential treatment that Israel is getting. And another thing, and just on another a wee tangent as well, with regards to giving other countries money, America gave the country of Argentina, which is being run into the ground by a guy called Javier Milei, a gift of $40 billion. Now, they called it a loan, but they're never going to get it back. So they're giving Argentina money, they're giving Israel money, and meanwhile they're getting screwed. And they are getting screwed. So what we're seeing is more and more commentators, significant commentators. Candace Owens is the biggest podcaster in the world. Bigger than Joe Rogan. Tucker Carlson is, I think he's one of the biggest. He's not, if he's not the second biggest or whatever. These people are up there. Dave Smith, not at that level, but he's very, very big, and he's very, very influential. He's one of these debate guys. He's actually a stand-up comedian. I'll show you him in a second. He's actually one of these debate guys, and he's very clever. He's very good. He goes on to debates, and I could go on to debate with a Zionist. I could beat them, I think, armed with a few facts. But so it's not particularly hard to do that. But he does it with quite with aplomb. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you a couple of things. So this is the first thing I'm going to show you is this little video from an organisation that has just been formed called the Anti-Zionist America Political Action Committee. So in America you have these things called PACs, which is basically a way of getting around legislation so that you can bribe politicians, as I can see it. So what they do is they put all this money into this organisation called a PAC, Political Action Committee, and then they go and they do things on behalf of the preferred politician, taking out ads in the media and stuff like that. So this is a new one. So this is the Anti-Zionist America Political Action Committee as a PAC. So check this out. This is a brand new organisation, and they kind of on the nose, really. Oh.
Is our government acts like the servant of another.
I realised that the browser audio wasn't on there. I'll put that back to the start.
The United States of America did not begin with a revolution against tyranny, only to serve a foreign nation state. But the fact is, our government acts like the servant of another country. That other country is, of course, the State of Israel. That's not policy. That's a national disgrace. I'm Michael Rechtenwald, founder of the Anti-Zionist America Political Action Committee, or AZAPAC. Let's cut to the chase, shall we? The U.S. government has been hijacked by forces loyal to Israel. Does Congress represent us? No. With rare exceptions, they work for Israel. These aren't your elected reps, they're puppets. And their strings are pulled by donors loyal to the modern nation state of Israel. This isn't an alliance, it's extortion. While we're scraping by, eggs at $6 a dozen, rent or mortgage devouring our paychecks, our leaders have funneled over $21 billion to Israel in 2 years. not counting the cost of U.S. engagements in the region at Israel's behest. The total cost the U.S. taxpayers in service of Israel is an estimated $33 billion since October 7th, 2023. That's on top of the $3.8 billion sent Israel every year. Billions that could fix our roads. Billions that could fund our schools. Billions that could house our veterans. Billions that could ease your burden. But no, they fund endless Israeli aggression instead. Israel, the largest recipient of U.S. aid in history. Israel, the country that bombed the USS Liberty. Israel, the country...
So do you know about the USS Liberty? I'll stop that and get back to it in a second. USS Liberty was an American naval ship, military ship, and Israel bombed it and sunk it. Well, they did. They tried to sink it, and they killed lots of the sailors, even though the ship was clearly flagged as an American ship. And they did it in order to try and draw the United States into a war with Egypt. And everybody knows this. There's still survivors from this ship, still alive, and nobody says nothing. And Israel just went, oops, sorry, we made a mistake. Didn't know it was used. That's all they said. And everyone lets them away with it. The Americans let them away with it. That's what I don't understand. It's one of the things that I don't understand. You're being completely fucking cocked. And you're okay with this. The American system seems to be okay with this. Now, the reason that it's okay with this is because the vast majority of everything down from state senators to from president state senators down to county dog catchers all seem to be bought off and paid. So that's why it happens. Back to the video.
Using our weapons to mass murder innocents. 20,000 children to be exact. Gaza ripped off the mask. We all watched the live-streamed horrors. The money extorted from us funds crimes against humanity, what genocide scholars and dozens of humanitarian organizations call a genocide. This blind allegiance, this veto on our national sovereignty, this denial of reality must end. We've had more than enough. ASAPAC isn't here to beg. We're here to evict. We're backing warriors who spit in the face of this cabal. Jose Vega in New York, confronting the uniparty machine. He's challenging AIPAC darling Richie Torres. Mike Wilnaugh in Florida, an America-only patriot challenging Daniel Webster, a fossilized incumbent who serves everyone but the American people. Aaron Baker, also in Florida. He rejects AIPAC bribes and demands an end to the foreign aid grift. He's challenging the biggest Zionist of them all, Randy Fine.
Tucker Carlson is the most dangerous anti-Semite in America.
ASAPAC isn't a protest, it's a reclamation. America isn't a vassal state. We're no one's colony. We're not supposed to be an ATM and munitions depot for Israel. If you're done with the fear, done with our politicians taking bribes, done with being smeared with the anti-Semitic label just because you want your country back, then ASAPAC is your army. Head to azapac.com. That's AZA-PAC.com right now. Donate, volunteer, amplify.
So there we go. So that's really important. And one of the things, so what they do, this organisation, what they're going to do is they will contribute to the funding of those guys that he showed you on the screen there, their political campaigns. They're running against Zionists, right? But what's very interesting about the three guys that you saw on the screen, the three guys that he illustrated that they were going to back in those elections, right across the political divide. Richie Torres is a left-wing guy. I can't remember the other guy, America First Patriot guy. That's what he said. Obviously a right-wing guy, or a libertarian at least, right? So this is this anti-Zionist expression that's coming up through America is cross-party, it's cross-politics. They don't care about your what you think about abortion. They don't care what you think about healthcare. They don't care what you think. All they care is getting the fucking Zionists out of their country. And it's a good start. They can argue about all the other stuff later, which they probably will. But their first priority is, it's what's so good about a single issue campaign like this. They're just saying that we want rid of these Zionists. That's it. There's nothing else. We can argue about all the other stuff behind closed doors. We can agree to disagree, all that shit. They're not going to have it. It's just about getting the Zionists out, because they identify the Zionists as being the most dangerous thing to their country. And they're right. It's the most dangerous thing to the planet. Zionism, white Western Ashkenazi Eastern European Ashkenazi Jews invading a country in the Middle East, claiming to be from there, despite the fact that they've all got red hair and fucking pale blue skin. So the few more little. So here is the guys I was talking about them now a moment ago. So Tucker Carlson and Dave Smith, you probably know who these guys are. If you don't, as I said, Dave Smith, that's him on screen, stand-up comedian and podcaster himself, very successful, and an amazing debater. He goes on and he literally destroys people. And the debate, interestingly enough, that guy Charlie Kirk, he'll get mentioned at some point in these little videos I'm going to show you. That guy Charlie Kirk, who runs an organisation called Turning Point USA, and what they do is they go around college campuses and try to convert or dissuade or break down arguments against socialism and all this sort of stuff, and to varying degrees of success, I suppose. But there was a fucking massive organisation. But he got killed, as you know. He got killed by a sniper live on stage. Remember that? Well, it was his organisation that Dave Smith was brought on to have a debate with a Zionist, and Dave dismantled him at this Turning Point USA event. But Turning Point USA is a bought and owned and fully paid up-to-date member of the pro-Zionist club, or at least it was at that time. And the Candace Owens, that the other podcaster, the biggest podcaster in the world, I'm sure you know who she is. She was a friend of Charlie Kirk's, and she says he was in the process of abandoning the pro-Israel cause, and she brought the receipts. She showed the text messages in the group chats and stuff that she was in with him, where he was saying these things, and he was in the process of converting to Catholicism. A very religious guy as well. So interestingly, so this is what's happening, and Israel has basically made itself so vile, partly and only partly through the actual genocide. So you got to remember where all these strange bedfellows, where they're all coming from. Some of them are coming from the I'm opposed to the genocide thing, which should be everybody, as I'm sure you'll agree. But some of them are also coming from the America First camp, where they're saying, why are we, not only am I, some of them are, not only am I against this genocide, I'm also, why the fuck are we paying for it? Right? So, which was the whole MAGA America First movement. That's what it was all supposed to be. And this is all creating a backlash onto Donald Trump. And then the big, again, another little Israel sidebar. The thing that actually caused the break, the moment where you just went, right, that's it, we're done, we're not doing this anymore, happened whenever Donald Trump denied the Epstein papers. Whenever he wouldn't release them, because he again, another promise he made when he was running was he was going to release the Epstein papers. Now, clearly he's fucking all over them, so he's not going to do that. But when he went on camera, and you know those things where he's about to get on the helicopter on the White House lawn or whatever, and some reporter sticks a microphone in his face. What about the Epstein papers? And he goes, he's still talking about that? What about that guy? Everyone talks about him. It's nothing. Don't worry about it. Shut the fuck up. Go away. His whole base just went, what? Shut the fuck up. Go away. What are you talking about? Who? Epstein who? No. That was the moment. That was when the dam broke. That was when everybody's brains just went, no, fuck off. We're not doing that. Because one thing everybody can agree with, genocide is bad, and so's PDF files. Right? So, back to the video. So this is Dave Smith. This is about 4 minutes. I'll play this, and I'll stop and start it as I go. So Dave's talking to Tucker Carlson, and the person he's talking about at the beginning is a guy called Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro is the CEO of an organization, I think it's called the Daily Wire or something like that, and it's another right-wing sort of media podcast sort of space. It's very successful, but Ben Shapiro is one of he cosplays as an America First patriot, but he's actually an Israel First, which is something that I've seen time and time again. They conflate America with Israel as if they just cross-pollinate these two places as if they're the same in conversation, as if they're the same fucking thing, as if your patriotism towards America is also tied to your patriotism of Israel. Even though you've never been to Israel and you don't give a fuck about Israel. Israel's our ally and the only democracy, and it's none of those things. It's not an ally. You don't need ally blows up your fucking ships. And it's not a democracy. As we know, it's a fucking shithole. Anyway, so to the video. This is Dave Smith talking to Tucker Carlson.
Look, you got some things wrong.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between that and your entire foundation being built on hypocrisy, and that hypocrisy being shown. You know, look, I mean, you can't make this stuff up, right? Ben Shapiro built a career opposing identity politics as a proud Zionist.
Yeah.
Now
Right? Did you hear that? Ben Shapiro, very right-wing, fucking horrible. A horrible individual. No redeeming features as far as I can tell. I mean, a completely charmless, vile person that has absolutely nothing to offer. You know, you could say the same thing about lots of people on the left and the right. You could say that about Donald Trump, but you could say, well, he is funny. He can be funny. This man has nothing. He has nothing. And he, as Dave Smith said there, he built a career ranting and going on about identity politics. So the DEI movement, Black Lives Matter, anything like that. And any of these culture war shite that people like him gave wind to. Again, something I hate, because it's a distraction. All culture war is distraction. We can disagree about culture stuff, but you know, if you're basing your entire political identity on it, then you're having your pocket picked. So he built a career on culture war, anti-identity politics issues, right? And here he is, a proud Zionist, promoting Zionism, the ultimate identity. You know, the biggest, identity issue of the day. A Jewish state for Jewish people. Zionist state for Zionist people. You're an anti-Semite if you don't agree. If you disagree with the genocide, you're an anti-Semite, and you complete hypocrisy of it. It's a great point that Dave Smith makes. So back to the video.
Opposing identity politics as a proud Zionist.
Yeah.
Now you listen, feel however you feel about Zionism. It's identity politics. Like that is the definition of you could not find a better example of a politics built on an identity. And yet you're out here saying facts don't care about your feelings. Identity politics is wrong. And then while you're saying that, your number one priority is this manifestation of identity politics. You can only keep that charade going for so long.
No, it's totally true.
Before someone sees through it.
There's something in people that the lowest part of people that instinctively accuses others of doing what they're doing. And I've never really, that's one thing I don't want to be, is a guy who does that. But I remember Bill Kristol, who I worked for years and really liked and was grateful to, and he was a great boss in the 90s, and came out against me and called me a Nazi and all this stuff, like without calling me. By the way, I called him and asked him to lunch. He refused. He wouldn't go to lunch with me. End of our relationship. But one of the criticisms against me, I'll never forget it, when I realized this phenomenon was real, was when he accused me of advocating, and I'm quoting, for an ethno-state. Now, I have a lot of flaws. They're all on display. I've never wanted an ethno-state. And I was like, wait, one of us is for an ethno-state, and it's not me. But you just said that, like, of all the possible criticisms.
It's just, he'll say these things.
It's massive. It's actually this is causing the biggest rift in American politics. The right is fracturing, and it's along the fault line of Israel. This is, and again, there's different reasons for it. Some are anti-genocide, some are American firsters, and they're going, why the fuck are we giving Israel any money at all? We haven't got enough of it ourselves for the first time in our fucking history. Or they do have plenty of it, it's just going to the wrong places, as you know. So that's what this is. And that guy, Bill Kristol, that he was talking about, his old boss at I'm guessing Fox News, he was a Fox News guy. If you're not 100% down on the Zionist project, they will fall out with you. And in Charlie Kirk's case, the conspiracy theorists out there who, what is the old saying, just to prove a conspiracy theory is right, just wait 20 years. The conspiracy theorists are saying that Charlie Kirk was assassinated by Israel or Israeli adjacent because he was about to break with the Israel First project, with the Zionists. The Zionist project. Apparently Benjamin Netanyahu himself actually called Charlie Kirk and told him that he will fund, there's money coming and it will fund the project in totality for forever if you get on board, and he refused. So that's what Candace Owens is saying. I don't know anything more than that, but it sounds fucking, at this stage in the game, it sounds legit to me. But anyway, back to the video.
Like if you accuse Ben Shapiro of having dual loyalty, they go, oh, that's an anti-Semitic trope. That means you hate the Jews. But then he'll sit there in his own words and say, I forget his exact quote, but it was something like, my favorite thing about the United States of America is that it protects Israel. And so you're already saying you have loyalty to both of these countries. In fact, I'm not so sure about one of the loyalties, but I'm very sure about the other one. Yep. And that is not, I'm sorry, that's not a statement against Jewish people. I'm Jewish. I love Jewish people.
And that's the thing, the whole dual loyalty thing. So Jews have always been accused of that, dual loyalty, and it's one of the things that anti-Semites will use to attack Jews, Jewish identity, Jewish people, whatever. But we have to understand that Jews, Judaism, and Israel and Zion, they're different things. They're not, just because you're Jewish doesn't mean that you're an Israeli, or just because you're Jewish doesn't mean that you're a Zionist. Just because you're a Zionist doesn't mean you're an Israeli. You can be an American Zionist, a British Zionist, an Irish Zionist. Do you know what I mean? So you need to be very clear in your language of what you're saying. And the dual loyalty for an American like Ben Shapiro and others like him, like the politician that was in one of the previous clips, Randy Fine, these people are, as Dave Smith is implying here, these people do have a loyalty to Israel first. It's clear as a fucking bell, and people are seeing it. And this is what's causing the fucking breakup. This is the thing. This is the point. And the response from the political class to this is to fucking buy CBS News, which was bought by an American Israeli billionaire. I can't remember his name. And he's going to be a part of the conglomerate that's buying TikTok, TikTok is being forced to sell itself, a controlling stake in itself, I think it is, under the pretense of American security because of the Chinese Communist Party, because they got access, because it's a Chinese owned app. It's the Chinese Communist Party's got access to the user's data, but the user's data, which is a complete canard, the user's data is freely available to buy in the open market from data brokers. You can buy this shit. All them crappy emails you get, all the ads when you're talking about fucking talking to your old auntie about getting a dog basket. Next you know you have an ad on Facebook. That's what that all is. Data brokers have that, and you can buy it. You can buy it. That's how you end up on a shitty mailing list that you never subscribed to. Somebody bought a list and you were on it, and but you can buy that information. So it's not the Chinese Communist Party that were the threat. The reason that TikTok is getting sold is because young people were finding out about fucking Palestine on it. And if you don't believe me, if you use TikTok, go on to TikTok today versus 2 years ago, a year ago, and start searching for Israel Palestine. Actually, that's not a great example because I don't use TikTok, so I don't know if that's actually 100% true. But I know that it is changing. Americans, the next update on TikTok, Americans are going to get a different version of the app, different from the rest of the world. It's going to filter out all the pro-Palestine, anti-Israel content. So that's why TikTok is getting bought. Now that might be effective, but once people start to figure it out, they'll move. People will move. They will migrate somewhere else. And so, as Larry Ellison, that's the guy's name, the billionaire's name, Larry Ellison. So he's now bought CBS News, and he's put in a woman in charge of it. I'll show you a video about her in a moment. A woman called Bari Weiss, and she's a American journalist, and she's now put in charge of CBS News, which is one of the biggest news channels in America. She's now in charge of that, and guess who she's loyal to? Guess what she is? So I'll show you that in a second. But this is so their response to people waking up and getting rightly angered about what's the relationship between their country and Israel. Their response is to buy CBS News and TikTok. And again, I have another video in a moment. Just explain a little bit more of that, in particularly dystopian fashion. From every time they open their fucking mouths, it's like they're confessing to something. They don't realise they're doing it. It's like you can just see after these videos where people just go, "Shut the fuck up, please! You're touting on us. Stop giving the game away." I've gone off on one there. Sorry, I'll come back to that in a moment. So back to Dave Smith and Tucker Carlson.
It's like I get called a self-hating Jew on Twitter or whatever. It could not be further from the truth. I actually really love Jewish people. There's many things about Jewish culture that have, had a huge impact on me, made me the person I am, made me a better person for their impact on me. But this is a foreign government. Like I'm sorry. We're allowed to talk about that. If I saw Glenn Beck the other day had Douglas Murray on. And Glenn Beck wasn't like mean to me personally, but which I appreciated. But he was just going, it was just so ridiculous. But it's like, we're sitting here, we're having a conversation about a foreign government. You started crying on your show talking about this foreign government. That's fucking weird. That's weird. We should not be doing that. What the hell is going on here? Like, I don't even think you should cry about our own government, but if you're going to cry about one, it should be ours.
And no one would even think to cry about it.
Right. I mean, like, come on. Like, let's have a real conversation about this. And if you don't, especially, and by the way, this is not my primary goal. My primary goal is to tell the truth and to advocate for what's good for our country. But if you're concerned about, like, the young men getting a little bit too radical and being too obsessed with the Jews or too against the Jews, which I do think is a legit concern.
It definitely is.
That's not good for you. And it's not good for you. It's not good for the conflict. It's not good for the country. I just don't think any of...
And he mentions there about, people getting concerned about the Jews, anti-Semitism. Real anti-Semitism, and it must be said, it is on the rise. It is a fucking thing. And people of ill intent will exploit this to reinforce their prejudices of their anti-Semitic tendencies. I've heard it. I've heard it for the first time in my life, where I live, around here. I have 2 people in particular I can think of who have said about the Jews. And my response is, stop conflating the Jews with the Zionists. The Israelis, the Zionists are not the Jews. It's not the same thing. Right? And we must always challenge it.
Racial collectivism always leads to bad places.
I totally agree.
You don't want to embrace that stuff. But if you're concerned about that, well, then the first thing you have to do is tell the truth. You can't keep lying to people, and you can't keep sitting here and going like, oh, no, the neoconservative. You can't say neoconservative, right? Isn't that Mark Levin? Look, you got...
So there we go. That little one. I'm going to play you another one. So this is another one from Tucker Carlson. It's a shorter one this time.
You want people to follow you? You want to sell your ideas?
This one is not as long. So this is Tucker Carlson talking about, you can see it on the screen there, I assume. I'm not looking at it right now, yeah. So talking about, Tucker Carlson warned Ben Shapiro and other pro-Israel influencers to stop talking down to Americans and labeling them as Nazis for refusing to fund Israel, which is what this is about. You can't lose sight of this. This is all about money as well. So American politicians give Israel money and then Israel bribes them back. So it's a fucking big massive circle jerk. So you wonder how these politicians, like if you go to these politicians' offices, I've seen the footage. There's real Israel flags everywhere. There's more Israel flags than there is American flags. And by the way, coming from a country that has a particular flag fetish going on, it's fucking mental. As mental as it gets here, that's mad. Like you go down those corridors, you go into those offices, you see fucking Israel, like 4 Israel flags and 1 American flag. I've seen the footage. I've seen the pictures. So here's Tucker Carlson again talking to Ben Shapiro. And he's talking in reference to, this is another young guy called Nick Fuentes. Now, this is another big influence podcast. He's a young fella. Now, he's a fucking Nazi as far as I can see. He's said particularly Nazi things, so I guess that puts him down as a Nazi. People are trying to make out that he's just trying to be shocking and all the rest of it, but I think he is genuinely the real thing. But he has a big movement, and he's a leader of a thing called the Groypers. And the Groypers were sort of young people inside the MAGA tent. And whenever they started to see, they were actually when they would see MAGA or American First politicians go off the reservation and do things that weren't America First or MAGA, they would call them out. And this is a good thing, by the way. We should do this we need more of this across the board. And it's one of the things, people like Jimmy Dore says things like MAGA gets called a cult, but it's MAGA. It's actually these MAGA people that are holding the president to account. They're the ones that are putting his feet to the fire. Could you see this all happening under Joe Biden? Joe Biden was president for 4 fucking years and he couldn't sign his own name. Literally. Auto pen. Literally couldn't sign his own name. The man was away with the furries. We know this. And people were still going on the TV news and saying, sharp as a tack. They were still saying, now that's a fucking cult. Now that's a cult. The MAGA thing, fair enough, it's mental. It's not for me. as you can guess. But I do like that they actually are holding the president to account. They've walked away from him. The people that elected him are walked away from him en masse. They went, fuck you. If Donald Trump ran for election today, he would lose massively. Now, the problem with him is that they'll just flip the other way. So they'll just vote for the Democrats and think that, not the MAGA people, but the Democrats will win. And then all the Liberals will get on like the one something. Meanwhile, the Democrats will just screw them with a different coloured dick. That's all it is. So the MAGA people are holding them to account. So Nick Fuentes is the leader of this little group called call themselves the Groupers. I don't know what that word is or what it means, but that's what they're called. And they're very right-wing. Very right-wing. As I said, like neo-Nazi right-wing. But they're very big and they're very influential. And they went on to the Tucker Carlson invited this guy, Nick Fuentes, on. He's only 27. And he gets attacked by Ben Shapiro just for talking to the guy, which I think you have to do. The cancelling, and this is where the hypocrisy and the two-facedness of the people like Ben Shapiro comes from, because all they've done while the Democrats were in power trying to cancel, calling everybody that wasn't a liberal a Nazi, and trying to get cancelling them, and they were. People like Ben Shapiro were out going mad about it. They were going insane about it. That was their whole fucking grift for years. So Tucker Carlson brings Nick Fuentes on to talk to him, to find out what he's going on about, and he got a big backlash. Let's have a listen, see what he says.
You want people to follow you? You want to sell your ideas to them? You want to convince them that what you're saying is true? Show some love for them. Demonstrate that you love them. You care about them. Why are we doing this? Because we think it's better for you. Shapiro and all of these guys, they don't make an effort to do that because they don't feel that way at all. Shut up, cattle. You're a Nazi. Give us the money for our preferred little country, or else we're going to denounce you. Man, those attitudes are incompatible with leadership and, in fact, with democracy itself. You can't have a country of 350 million people governed by boutique goals and concerns. I really care so much about this thing, and you better care about it too, or else I'm going to attack you and deplatform you. It doesn't work. It's illegitimate, actually. And if you keep it up, you're flirting with, real backlash, like a real one. Not Nick Fuentes, like a real one. So cool it. Listen to other people. Don't treat them like cattle. Treat them like human beings.
So that's that. So Tucker, again, Tucker Carlson is not my thing, but I'm getting such an awful lot of insight into what's going on with America and Israel from people like him, and this rift in the MAGA movement, and it is a rift, and it is fucking significant. It's absolutely fascinating, and seeing people like him, I think, show real balls, stand up and call out. They call themselves patriots, and they're doing the job of the patriotic duty. That's what I see. And you can't have a dual loyalty. You can't be loyal to fucking Israel and the United States. I don't think you should be allowed a dual passport. I think like in this country, we've got British and Irish. We can have either or. I don't have a British one. I have an Irish one. I don't think you should be allowed that. You should choose one or the other. I understand why it was done, for the Good Friday Agreement and stuff. But I don't think you should be allowed an extra passport. I also think treason is a word that's gone desperately out of fashion and it needs to be brought back. I really mean that. Because we're seeing a political class across the world completely abandon their own people, their own countries. And I don't understand it. It is literally treason. It's literally treasonous. How is it not? What's the other word for it? If it's not that, what is it? Because to me, that's exactly what it is. Taking money from foreign governments, from lobbies, from businesses. Even in the UK and Ireland, you can make a donation to a... How? Why? What for? What's this money used for? Why? And what do you expect in return? Oh, nothing. Oh, fuck me, right? I just came off the fucking boat. I just came down the ban in the bubble, as I say around here. You give me 50 grand and I don't have to do anything for it. Fuck, that's handy. That's the first time in history that's ever happened. And the APAC lobby in America, and then in the UK, it's it operates different. It's different name and all the rest, but it's basically the same thing. So in the Labour Party, you've got the Jewish Labour movement and all this sort of stuff. It's basically the same thing. That's what they do too. They just, bribe politicians, and they get away with it constantly. So this is interesting. So this is an interesting little video. So we're just going to, just on the benign influence, and so the point where I'm headed, where I'm hoping to bring you, is when they say things out loud, they say them on TV all the time. They had to do it a while ago, where now the soldiers in the IDF, they're now having their social media, their phones are actually being targeted or being monitored by AI because they keep putting up pictures of themselves doing war crimes. You're going to be war criming all over the place, and then you put it on fucking TikTok, and their government is like, you need to stop doing that, and they're not doing it; they're just doing it anyway. So now they've started to roll out this AI to stop this from happening. But then they keep going on the fucking TV and doing things like this. So this is another horrible bastard. Piers Morgan. Now, I want to say something about Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan gets a lot of credit for opposing the Iraq War in real time, right? And he was the only mainstream British newspaper editor. He was a newspaper editor of the Daily Mirror. And he was the only mainstream editor that was openly against the Iraq War, right? And he gets a lot of credit for that, but I think it's unjustified. And I hate whenever I hear it. I'm always screaming this at the TV or the computer or whatever. He gets the credit, but the reason he did it was because he was the editor of the Daily Mirror, which was a left-wing paper and an anti-war paper. If he'd have been the editor of The Sun, he'd have been pro the war, right? And I think he skates on that a lot, and he's got a lot of leeway for 20 fucking years or more because of that those editorial choices. But they weren't. He did. His hands were tied. The paper wasn't going to come out pro-war. It was always going to come out against the war, and he happened to be the editor. And the reason I'm pretty confident in that is because he has been right about absolutely fuck all else since. Like literally nothing. Every war, every intervention, every bombing campaign, every piece of propaganda sent down from on high, he's just echoed it with gleefully. So I don't see how he could have been right about that and wrong about everything else since. Right, anyway, I digress, as usual. So this is on the Piers Morgan show, and he's got an Israeli spy. Well, I'm assuming he's an ex-Israeli spy, because he wouldn't be much of a spy now, because we all know what he looks like. And a guy called Cenk Uygur, I think his name is, and he's a host of a show in America called The Young Turks. So Mossab Youssef, an Israeli spy, threatens Western politicians on live TV. So check this out. This is them, again, squealing on themselves.
Iranian nuclear program is going to be destroyed. And anyone who gets in the way, it doesn't matter where they are, even if they are politicians in the West, they are going to fall. Because we cannot afford.
Hold on. Did you hear what he just said? He threatened politicians in the West that if they don't agree with Israel's war against Iran, that they're going to fall. And remember, he's an Israeli agent. Are you saying Israel will murder politicians in the West or get rid of them politically through bribery or whatever else? What do you mean the politicians in the West will fall if they don't agree to back Israel's war against Iran?
Backpedal.
Yeah, we will not vote for them anymore.
We will not vote for them.
Oh, no, well, you don't vote for them now. You're not in our country.
Look at him. Look at his face. He's fucked. He's caught. He's caught. He knows he's caught. He's in bar. Oh no, what have I done?
What do you mean the politicians will fall?
We live in democracy, and we have the right to bring them up and to bring them down. Those who agree with Ayatollah, we don't want them in office. And all the sympathizers with terrorists like yourself, we don't want them even to be in our country.
Who is we, and how are you bringing down politicians in the West if they dare to defy Israel? Tell me how you're bringing them down.
I already answered you that.
Are you going to murder them, or are you going to bribe them? Or are you going to bribe someone else? Who are you going to do?
Hey, we know exactly what he means. They're going to kill them. They're going to bribe them. They're going to do everything that they can. Now, just on the level of... This is going back to 2009. So former Congressman James Traficant, don't know, never heard of him, apart from this, gave a 2009 interview where he claimed that Israel controls Congress. Now, this was 2009. So check this one out.
Is a democracy and is our ally.
Yes, they are.
Explain to me what you see as why you target or why you have a grudge against the Israelis.
The grudge is not necessarily a grudge. It's an objective assessment that no one will have the courage to speak about. This may be you don't want to hear. I don't know. And I certainly don't want to hurt you on your show. You have one of the best. You're fair. But I believe that Israel has a powerful stranglehold on the American government. They control both members of the House and the Senate. They have us involved in wars of which we have little or no interest. Our children are coming back in body bags. Our nation is bankrupt over these wars. And if you open your mouth, you get targeted. And if they don't beat you at the poll, they'll put you in prison. They're controlling much of our foreign policy. They're influencing much of our domestic policy. Wolfowitz, as Undersecretary of Defense, manipulated President Bush #2 back into Iraq. They pushed definitely to try and get Bush before he left to move into Iran. We're conducting an expansionist policy of Israel, and everybody's afraid to say it. They control much of the media, they control much of the commerce of the country, and they control powerfully both bodies of the Congress. They own the Congress.
Are you an anti-Semite?
No, I'm not. That's exactly what they're going to say. We have a one-sided foreign policy in the Mideast, and we've alienated Arabs who have no way of fighting. So what they've done, and I predicted this on the House floor, is they would export violence to America, and they have. They have no other way to fight. I'm saying this to you right now. Israel gets approximately $15 billion a year from the American taxpayers. That $15 billion is $30,000 for every man, woman, and child. People in my district are losing their pension benefits.
That's why I've never heard of him. Congressman Fabricant died in a car accident 4 years later. What did he say there that was wrong? Do you disagree with any of that? So, we're going to have another couple of little videos here. So this is Dave Smith again. This is him in...
I like what that guy said.
At a debate. This is him at a debate playing to the crowd. So check this out. And again, and this is where this is where everything is going. This is where Israel has lost the argument. It's lost it. It's gone. And it's because of people like Dave Smith are saying what people are thinking for the first time. For the first time in America.
Catastrophic war in the Middle East is...
Check it out.
I like what that guy said. Benjamin Netanyahu came and testified before Congress in 2002, and he said with certainty that if we overthrew Saddam Hussein, democracy would sweep the region. He also advocated that we had regime change in Libya, Syria, and Iran. And
And he's still advocating that to this day. You must recognize that anyone advocating that America go fight another stupid, catastrophic war in the Middle East is your enemy. They are our enemies. Anyone who advocates that. If they start talking to you about fighting a war with Iran, you treat them like an enemy that they are. They are not on your side. Our people do not want to fight any more wars in the Middle East, period.
There we go. How do you disagree with that? How do you disagree with that? Well, if you're a Zionist, you do. So, on to this. This is my final video about that. We're just going to blast through this and we're going to be done with this particular topic. I don't even know if I'm going to do the other ones. How long have we been going? An hour? No. So this is just going to be about Israel. I'll do it. Maybe I'll keep those two topics to the one side. Although I did want to get into them a wee bit. I was looking forward to it. So this is a lady called Sarah Hurwitz, that's it. Former Obama speechwriter, social media is bad. Sarah Hurwitz says social media is bad because unlike US media, it doesn't brainwash people to worship Jews. It reveals what the Israelis actually do to Palestinians, rendering Hasbara, the Israel propaganda system called Hasbara, ineffective. And 3, it makes people think that the lesson of the Holocaust is never again, when it should be nothing Jews do is ever wrong. And the commentator says, like, I'm barely even exaggerating here. This is insane. So she went on stage at this conference here, and it's 2 minutes. I'll stop intermittently and explain exactly what it is that she's saying. It is fucking nuts.
I just stated that. I think that since October 7th, but really before then, there have been huge shifts in America on how people think about Jews and Israel. And I think that is especially true of young people. So we are now wrestling with a new, I think, generational divide here. And I think that's particularly true in that social media is now our source of media. And this, it used to be that the media you got in America was American media, and it was pretty mainstream. It generally didn't express extreme anti-Israel views. You had to go to a pretty weird bookstore to find global media and fringe media. But today, we have social media, which is...
That's not pausing. Sorry, I'm going to have to refresh that because I want to be able to pause this. So I'll just do that again and get you up to speed.
I think that since October 7th, but really...
Yeah. So...
our source of media. And this, it used to be that the media you got in America was American media, and it was pretty mainstream.
Right? So what she's saying there is the media that we used to get was mainstream. Now, what she's actually saying, is you're able to control the message. It's the same here, it was same in the UK, same in Ireland, with the BBC, RTE, or whatever. You can control the message because it's all centralised. You've got 4 or 5 different news channels and you can pump out the same shite to them all and they can control it, right? So she goes on to say, let's listen.
It used to be that the media you got in America was American media, and it was pretty mainstream. It generally didn't express extreme anti-Israel views. You had to go to a pretty weird bookstore to find global media and fringe media.
That's not true. You go to any bookstore and get a book on the Holocaust, a Noam Chomsky book, or on what's going on in Palestine, Israel. You don't. It's not. She's making it out that she's referencing social media and the decline of the legacy media. So she's making it out that. Right. Sorry. We'll listen to a little bit more.
But today, we have social media, which is a global medium.
Right.
It is shaped, its algorithms are shaped by billions of people worldwide who don't really love Jews. And so while in the 1990s, a young person probably wasn't going to find Al Jazeera or someone like Nick Fuentes, today, those media outlets find them.
Right. So she's saying that the algorithm finds them. That's true. That bit's true enough. But the idea that you didn't have access to this in the past, I disagree with. And one of the things that I will say, although we do have a lot of our political awakenings has happened in this modern era that may not have happened in the past, because maybe we wouldn't have gone. She called them French bookshops. That's fucking bullshit. Any bookshop, any Waterstones, whatever, you'll get political theory books and history books and everything. But she's saying that it's not necessarily pro-Jew or friendly to Jews, friendly to Israel. They're conflating the two again, which is not the same thing. And I'll put that back up on the screen, sorry.
They find them on their phones. It's also this increasingly post-literate media, less and less text, more and more videos. So you have TikTok just smashing our young people's brains all day long with video of carnage in Gaza. And this is why so many of us can't have a sane conversation with younger Jews, because anything that we try to say to them, they are hearing it through this wall of carnage. So I want to give data and information and...
So what she's saying there is young Jewish people that are now, by the way, turning against Israel, who young Americans, American Jews, who are now anti-Zionist and anti-Israel. And whenever she's confronting them, or they're confronting her, they're seeing it. They're seeing what they know what they're talking about. And she's trying to give them facts and data and Abbott. The carnage, she referenced the carnage in Palestine. So she knows it's carnage. So she references it. But you can't compete with what you see. If you see it, she go, but I've got these numbers, I've got these figures. But what about it? I saw a child with his head blown off. There's no numbers you can give me that will make that okay. It doesn't fucking work like that. And this is why they're beat. This is why social media has them beat, which is why they're trying to destroy it for the likes of us.
Facts and arguments, and they are just seeing in their minds carnage, and I sound obscene.
Because you are.
And, you know, I think, unfortunately, the very smart, bet that we made on Holocaust education to serve as anti-Semitism education, in this new media environment, I think that is beginning to break down a little bit. Because, Holocaust education is absolutely essential. But I think it may be confusing some of our young people about anti-Semitism because they learn about big, strong Nazis hurting weak, emaciated Jews. And they think, oh, anti-Semitism is like anti-black racism, right? Powerful white people against powerless black people. So when on TikTok all day long they see powerful Israelis hurting weak, skinny Palestinians, it's not surprising that they think, oh, I know, the lesson of the Holocaust is you fight Israel. You fight the big, powerful people hurting.
And the reason they think that is because they're fucking smart. It's because they're human beings. Of course you think that. What else are you supposed to think? The opposite? Israel is the good guy? Of course they fucking... And then she's acting surprised that these Jewish young people are displaying traits of fucking humanity. I don't... What the fuck? This is them telling on themselves. She went on stage and touted on herself. She said it in front of a camera, on a microphone.
The weak people.
So the Israelis are the big powerful people beating up the small Palestinians, and this is a good thing, and you as a person who are against this, be it Jewish or otherwise, are wrong because I have some numbers to give you. That's mad. That's just fucking mad. It's mad. It's pure fucking mad. And that's where we are. That's where we are. So there we go. That's the pod. I'm going to do the other two topics, which is the Venezuela thing, which is very important. By the time I get to it during the week, maybe the war may have already have started, but Donald Trump is... It looks like they're going to create Vietnam 2.0 in South America. Of course, doing it under the pretense of preventing drug trafficking. Meanwhile, the Sackler family live free after creating the opioid epidemic across the fucking world, not just exclusively in America. They walk free, but they're going to go and fucking bomb Venezuela in order to prevent drug smuggling. Something that Venezuela has little or fuck all to do, nothing to do with. Certainly not as a country. So there we go. That's the pod. We'll get to it. We'll get to it during the week because I've got some notes and stuff on it for you. So we will deal with that. There we go. Some theme music. So there we go. Israel, America, the UK, Europe, all Israel occupied territories. It's a fact. Our politicians are owned by them. Our corporations are owned by them. Our media structures are owned by them. And no matter how much you bend the knee to the likes of Israel, it's never enough. The slightest fucking question will have you labelled an anti-Semite. And people are getting fucking fed up with it. That's another word that's lost its heft. It doesn't mean anything anymore. I said this about Jeremy Corbyn years ago. They were calling him an anti-Semite. I said, don't do that. Never need to do that. Anyway, that's me. Cheerio, everybody. Like, share, subscribe. Head over to Patreon if one so desires. Spaceman, background, banner. There we go. And this video will be on Patreon and YouTube. And the audio will be on your favourite audio app. We'll try and figure out how to not do the Spotify thing. I still haven't figured that out. But I will. Bye.